Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Lumsden, and I'm the Education Program Manager here at FieldPulse. I would like to welcome you to Ask a Pro. If you're unfamiliar with what Ask a Pro is, it's our live webinar series with industry experts who will be sharing their knowledge and experience on topics that you can use to improve your business operations. We will be answering questions that you guys submitted upon registration, but at any time, if you think of an additional question, feel free to use the Q&A function within Zoom to ask those questions. If you look at the bottom of your screen on Zoom, there is an option for chat and Q&A. Please utilize the Q&A function. That helps us keep track of the questions that you guys are asking, and I will present those to our guests today so then they can answer those verbally on today's webinar. All right, let's dive in here. So today's guests are Chris and Kirk, and they are from the Trusted Toolbox. They are valued FieldPulse customers and respected names in the trades. Chris and Kirk have grown the Trusted Toolbox into a $1 million award-winning company while staying focused on what really matters: their team, their customers, and building a sustainable, scaling business. Today, they'll share their experience on creating a team you don't have to babysit, building a culture of accountability, and staying agile in the face of challenges. So welcome, Chris and Kirk. We're so happy to have you on today.
All right, excited to be here.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
So glad to have you. Well, let's dive in because we have a bunch of questions to ask you guys, and I'm super excited to hear your responses to all of these. So to get started, can you guys give us the story behind the Trusted Toolbox? What inspired you to start it?
Yeah, so I started the business in 2008. This is Chris. I started, that's right. If you remember what 2008 is, that is when the recession started. So timing really was not on my side. I'm PGing that, but I started it as a handyman business. I left the corporate world, jumped in and started a handyman business. I sold my Mercedes, bought 2 white vans, wrapped them with the Trusted Toolbox, and off we went working around homes here in the metro Atlanta area. I started in the suburbs of Atlanta, in the Duluth and Johns Creek area, Alpharetta, and then slowly started to grow through the recession time to where we are today. Today we're in Norcross, Georgia, which is just outside the, if you know Atlanta, you know 285, that's the Beltway. If you know Atlanta, you know we have Atlanta traffic, you know that it's hot, and you know we've got a lot of trees. So there you go. There's your history of Atlanta. But we are now in Norcross. We have 32 employees. We have a handyman division that has 15 guys in it. We have a remodeling division of 4 project managers, and we also have a division out in Athens, Georgia, which is where UGA is. Go Dogs, 2-time national champions. Just keep going with that. Kirk joined us because I realized as I grew, I needed more help with detail. I needed more help with discipline. I needed more help with being able to scale. And Kirk joined us from the beautiful city of Orlando, Florida, and he moved up to Atlanta, and he has been our general manager for a little over a year now.
Thank you for sharing. Sounds like you guys are truly the dream team. So glad is Kirk there to join you. And next question that we have for you, Chris. We know that you're a podcast host, author, business owner. Tell us about the big ideas that you're passionate about in the trades right now.
Biggest thing I'm passionate about is the training of the trades. You're going to hear this. We all have the same problem, right? We don't have enough people. Can't find good people. Nobody young wants to work anymore. Well, all of that has actually, I found an article. That article was written in 1958. So this trades issue has been going on. What I'm really passionate about is being able to take guys who are good at something and setting them up for success. And we do that through our training, through our culture, and then, of course, through our systems that we use, that our process allow these guys to go out there and shine and take care of people in their house, because it is really hard to do the work in the house and also schedule the next job and take that next phone call. Because to be a worker in the field with your hands, it is hard to answer phones, stop and do things. You've got to get things done. So our guys, I'm really passionate about is making sure they're set up for success out in the field.
Love that answer. Kirk, I got a question for you now. So you've been behind the scenes helping run the ship. What's your role in the Trusted Toolbox, and how did you get involved with the FieldPulse operations?
Yeah, so a little over a year ago, Chris brought me on to the team. And part of what I was brought in for was implementing a new CRM system. We had a few different options that we were going through and chose FieldPulse as being the best option for us. So in the beginning, I was heavily involved in the implementation process of FieldPulse and making the decisions on how we were going to do different workflows and templates and things like that. On the business side, again, it was to come in and help with the details. Um, Chris already had a ton of standard operating procedures, a ton of checklists, and how everything should be run. And it was just coming in and refining those things, figuring out where we were lacking in some areas, making sure that we could improve in them. That way we could have a better overall customer experience and keep making money.
I love that you mentioned the details and you also mentioned workflows and templates, which are huge things if you want to implement within the FieldPulse system to make your workflow even more efficient. So thanks for bringing those up. All right, back to Chris. Chris, you've seen the ups and downs from economic downturns to COVID to tariffs, the whole 9 yards. How do you plan for uncertainty and how do you keep the business moving forward regardless of the situation?
Yeah, that's a lot of 3:30 in the morning curled up on the couch wondering what I just did to myself. Yeah, when COVID hit, you only had option A in front of you. And I went through the three phases of truth, which is first I ignored it, then I vehemently denied it, and then I accepted it as intuitively obvious that I was going to shut my business down. And I did not have 6 months of operating capital. It wasn't going to make it. But here in the state of Georgia, we were deemed an essential business, so we were able to keep the handyman division going. We did some remodeling at that time. Then that thing that happened out, which was that we're the government, we're here to help you, and this thing called PPP, and they allowed me to pay back my people and bring them back on, and then we took off. So the ups and downs of the business, and then I had the naivete to tell everybody, I'm like, finally, after all these years in business, I'm in the right spot. But guess what? I couldn't find again people and materials. So it was a double whammy. So we couldn't take advantage fully of it, but we were very busy and have been very busy up until about 2 years ago. Then we started to see a big ebb and flow where a lot of the work around the homes just kind of dried up. A lot of people went on travel trips. That was also hard to predict. That one kind of caught me off guard. So what we're always doing is I'm looking at leading indicators and looking at lagging indicators. The lag. All right, how much money is in my checking account? How much money in revenue are we booked out? How far are we booked out? Leading indicators are how are the leads looking? What are people saying? Yes or no? What are they starting to pull back on? What are they starting to really go for? So you've got to look at both to be able to navigate the waters, and you got to wake up every day going, all right, we're going to solve another problem. Which before we got on, Kirk mentioned that we started our day at 7:30 in the office. He left the office at 9:30 to go out and look at the jobs, and he had to run right back here to come back and do this webinar.
Yep, he's busy, but he still makes time for us. That's all that matters.
Right.
I want to ask you guys, like, what are you seeing as far as trends right now? You said like 2 years back, things got a little slow with trips, which makes sense because during COVID, people weren't allowed to travel. But what are the trends looking like for you guys in your business right now?
Yeah, I'll tell you, the big one is I'm part of the National Association of the Remodeling Industry called NARI, which is all over the nation. I get to go to a number of national events as well and get to participate. Here's what we're seeing, and I'm definitely seeing it here in Atlanta. People are not moving anymore. 75% of all mortgages are probably under 4%. And I say probably, but really it's under 4% because I had a mortgage broker tell me that. So they're not moving. And so what's going on is that people who thought they were going to be in a house for 1 or 2 years realize now, as their family's starting to grow, as they're going to stay here longer, they want to do some enhancements. And they also have to do that bad word called maintaining it, which is never sexy to go, oh my gosh, I got to change out my HVAC. But if you don't have HVAC in Dallas or Atlanta, y'all want to get it changed out pretty quickly. Obviously, we don't do that work, but that's what we're seeing in the handyman side too, is that people are going to stay, so they want to keep up with their home and they want to put nicer things in there, but they're also on a tighter budget due to the inflation.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure that resonates with a lot of our customer base here and on this live webinar today. Another question for y'all. Looking back, what's changed in how you lead or structure your business and your teams as you guys have grown? And do you have any advice that you can share with customers who are watching this today, trying to build something scalable like you guys all have?
Well, I'll start and let Kirk finish. I brought Kirk in because I realized that the bottleneck starts at the top. And it took me 3 years to admit that I could actually bring somebody in. And I'm part of a mastermind group where I had them on a monthly basis beating me up, holding me accountable to actually finding somebody like Kirk who could help me unbottleneck myself at the top. But as you grow, you've got to figure out where you can start to trust but verify, where you can let go. It's really hard. We all know that. Um, And then finding people who can come in there and do the things that you're not good at is also a really hard thing to admit. So I'll turn it over and let Kirk talk about what he's been doing.
Yeah, so like I said, with what I've been doing, it was coming in and just sanding things up and refining some of the standard operating procedures, and expanding on them. We implemented a system called Notion. Uh, People aren't familiar with it. It's a second brain, is what it's advertised as, but it's allowed us to be able to take all of our standard operating procedures and you can update them instantaneously. And the entire team will have access to it instantaneously. Um, our technicians out in the field, if they forget how to do a feature inside of FieldPulse, they can click a button and they'll have a Word document and they'll have a short video that we were able to shoot for it. Um, Same thing for our office personnel. And even at this point, we're working on building artificial agents to start helping the entire team.
Wow, that's awesome. It sounds like Notion is kind of like your guys' own version of a help center. Is that what I'm getting here?
Yeah,
Kind of like
for
an
one
internal
piece of it.
database. Yeah,
Absolutely internal database. Yep.
that's awesome. Do you guys put together those videos or what does that look like?
Usually all of our videos are in there. We're starting to find that too. People ask that all the time. Do you need to have a training manual? I was just talking to another individual who's got a handyman business in South Carolina. He goes, "Yeah, I've got them all documented, but I don't think anybody looks at them." I said, I bet you, I can guarantee you, nobody's looking at them." So short, let's face it, we're all attention starved. Right now you're either listening to me or not. Maybe checking Instagram, maybe going to TikTok, checking out a story. So you got to make sure you're hitting these guys quick, and video is the only way to do it.
And you've seen success with videos versus articles, and that's why you stick with that? Yeah, that's great
I like
advice, honestly.
I like to do both because everyone learns a little bit different. Most people do very well with the videos, but then others like, no, I need to read it step by step by step by step.
The former teacher in me loves that you just said that. Everybody has a different learning style, and I agree. When I work on stuff in the help center, I try and work with both video and text. So that's great advice for our customers. Thank you guys. All right. From previous conversations with you guys, I've heard you say this numerous times. Bigger isn't better, better is better. So, how has that shaped your leadership and decision making as your business has grown?
It has been a challenge because I do say that a lot. Bigger is not better, better is better. And there were a lot of ebbs and flows. Everybody thinks that as you start a company, you should grow linear, right? Your revenue should go up, your net profit goes up, therefore you get more in your pocket. That all grows up. It doesn't happen like that, man. It's up, it's down, it's all sideways. It goes every which way but loose. And as you grow and you start to figure out is bigger better, it's putting those right processes in place. I started to get big pretty shortly after the recession, and I had no training in place. My processes were a little off, and I was just coming off going paper-based, my very first electronic CRM, but yet none of my guys had anything in their hands because they didn't have anything resembling a phone. So it started to crumble a little bit and crack a little bit, and you had to take a step back and go, wait a minute. I don't think it's my guys in the field. I think it's me again. Either I'm not giving them the right direction and telling them what I want done and how I want it done, and how I want them to finish with the customer. And so that's where and we've seen it now with our Google reviews, now up over 1,150, that better is better, even though we're bigger. I mean, I've got 15 guys in the field, but because we've got such a solid process and way to handle customers, our Google reviews in the last 3 years are far exceeding the reviews we had years before.
That's great. And to piggyback off of that, also in conversation with you guys, I've heard you mention that vanity versus sanity conversation. So, how do you stay focused on the numbers or goals that truly matter to you guys as your business continues to grow?
I'm just going to go on the recent example I just did. I had to make a difficult business decision, and I brought the entire office staff in. We've got two CSRs, a scheduler, quality assurance manager, intern, Kirk, and then our accounts receivable manager. And I explained to him the accounting principles of revenue minus cost of goods sold equals the gross profit. And by the way, that's not the dollars Chris puts in his pocket. That's the dollars they use to pay for the office that we have. We have 5,000 square feet for our admin. So I explained to him how the gross profit works and how the levers are that work on that. You can either grow your revenue, charge more. You can pay less to your people. You can pay less to your subcontractors, and you can pay less for materials. But other than that, there's not a lot you can do. So you've got to look at and I took them all through it. And that is one way where I got them lined up to go, we're going to ride or die and get that gross profit up to a click or two above where we are today.
Great advice. And I know we mentioned the way with Notion about videos and text and stuff, but what else are you guys doing to keep your team aligned, trained, and engaged at all times?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. So, like Chris said, we're really big into training every other Wednesday. We do have a team training where we bring the entire company in, customer service reps, scheduler, QA manager, technicians, sales guys, project managers, every subcontractors, everyone in the company gets together. We have a little breakfast, and we do a training session where we talk a little bit about our culture, who we are and what we are and what we're doing and how we're going to keep achieving those goals. We have a hands-on portion where we'll go out and we'll do some type of hands-on. This past week, we did replacing screens on window screens and sliding glass doors, things like that. Getting guys out there in the back in the shop, getting the screens on the ground, pulling off the old ones, getting the new screen in there with new spline, have them learning a new skill. Being handyman, there's hundreds of different things that they can run into each and every single day. And they're not 100% at all of them. So having those hands-on trainings lets them start learning more of those skills, which allows them to go on more jobs and make more money. And then the third part that we do for our training, we talk about FieldPulse, making sure that guys completely understand the different procedures within FieldPulse, how to do something. Maybe they forgot how to put in purchase orders or how to do an add-on. We do like a little Q&A session, like, all right, guys, open it up. What questions do you have? And then Chris gets up and gives his rah-rah speech at the end and call your customers.
We
I'd
always have
pay
the
to
call
see
your
one of
customers.
those. I'd pay to see one of those speeches.
Well, sometimes they can go out and for public viewing in PG-13, and then there's other times where I've got to speak their language and they hear exactly how I'm feeling.
True
I
story.
love the honesty. I love it. No, I love that. And I love the hands-on portion that you guys include in those trainings. I feel like that keeps people engaged, obviously, because they're the ones that get to do it. But it sounds like, Kirk, you're the one kind of spearheading what those look like. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have a schedule that we've got set out for the entire year of what topics and that we're going to cover throughout. Um, and then once a month, we also have Saturday trainings where all of our new guys come in and we have a big training room out back that we've built from scratch in our garage. Did the framing, did the drywall, learning how to mud, how to put in attic stairs, how to build a railing, how to build stringers, how to do doors, windows, siding. Um, and we'll take guys who come in that are brand new, and that's also a testing ground for them as handymen. Be able to go out there and be like, "Oh, do you know how to do a drywall patch? Oh, great! Knock a hole in the wall. All right, go ahead and do it for me."
That's awesome. Is there any other of your training sessions that you guys don't mind sharing out to maybe, spark some ideas for our viewers today?
Yeah, I've got a number of them out on YouTube. Actually, I have a whole
Oh,
presentation
wow.
about how I've done some of the training. As Kirk mentioned, we're trying to drive three things, and I know that, as you know, Ashley, former teach, it's hard to keep my guys in a room for longer than an hour, and they are not classroom learners. They are participative. They want to be involved. So we're trying to get across the message, hey, take care of your customers and they'll take care of you. Well, we call it customer first. And so we try to tell a story that engages them and tickles their brain and gets them to think, especially at 7:30 in the morning. And then, yeah, the field pulse that yeah, it could be pretty dry. It's pretty tough, especially when if you're talking to 15 of them, 14 of them think they already figured out exactly what you're saying, and you're only talking to the one guy who doesn't know, and it's not them. But by the way, it's them. Of course it is. And then the last thing, if we don't do something technical, because we do so many different things, but if you don't do something technical, or we brought DeWalt in and showed them new tools that are out there and new batteries available to them. If we don't do something to make their job easier, the rest of it was blah blah blah. They weren't listening. They weren't really picking it up. And that's why and then we always end on a high note of let's go out there and solve those customers' problems and show them what we are, and let's be an artist today.
Yeah, no, I think showing that value is huge. That's going to get the buy-in initially from them. So, another question that kind of relates to that is, do you guys have any advice for building a company culture that can deliver consistent service at scale?
I would tell you that it's the training. I've said that over and over to people. Doing it twice a month is probably the minimum. And if you try to do it every week, which I've heard some remodeling companies do, I think you lose a little bit of your voice with them. But if you try to do it once a month, It just doesn't work. Here in Atlanta, we're a distributed model. Again, we're a big, expansive metropolitan city, just like the Dallas area. So we let our guys take the trucks home. I may not see them for 2 weeks. I might see them that Wednesday morning for an hour. I may not see them again. So I want to make sure that my thoughts are coming through to them. So we have a mission plaque that is always front and center where our training happens. It's not a mission statement. That's so corporate America, and that's where I came from. So every word up there means something, and we're trying to drive that home. I think somebody once told me if your team can recite your mission statement, then you have done it, right? That's great coach speak. But the reality is, I think I could get these guys to at least give us a couple up there that they would say, like, hey, listen, he challenges us to be an artist. I want to be an artist today. I'm trying to be set up for success, whether I'm the lady answering the phones in the front, the lady doing the scheduling, or the person trying to collect on the bill at the end, and that's the technician.
They can recite it all they want, but can they actually live it out in the day to day with their work and with the customers? I think that is really what speaks to what you guys are doing. And yeah, that's great advice. Now we're going to dive into a little bit of the use of FieldPulse. If you guys don't mind answering some of these questions, we have how are you guys using FieldPulse day to day? Which features have made the biggest difference for you guys and your team?
I'm gonna let Kirk start with this one because he's been our lead on the implementation.
I mean, Field Pulse is used in every aspect of our business from the very first contact with the customer through scheduling out an estimator, estimators writing out at the estimates out in the field, right through the app, being able to send it out to the customer, both in email and the text message form, getting them to sign and accept, coming back into the office and getting audited, going over to our scheduler to get scheduled, and then our technicians out in the field, being able to clearly see the invoice, see what work they're going to be doing. And the nicest thing, being able to accept payments out in the field with a credit card with the customer, and then completing the job and automatically sending them a notice like, hey, I did a great job for you. Please leave me a review and getting that review request.
Yeah, no, those are huge, especially to make your workflow more efficient. You need a way to collect payment out in the field. And if you're not asking your customers to give review on your technicians or your business as a whole, you're missing out on big opportunities.
Yeah, I'm been really focused on the sales up front because I take care with the sales guys a lot. That has really helped us improve with the templates that we have built, with the ability to come up with standardized templates. We're dabbling right now with using AI to build some of our estimates, but we look at a lot each day as estimators. If you're in remodeling, you might look at one or two a week, maybe four or five a week. We look at four or five a day because we also do handyman stuff. And so that's where the system has been really good because we can use our phones, take our pictures. We've integrated with Company Cam using Field Pulse as well. And that's one that, well, admittedly, I'm going along kicking and screaming. Kirk's been telling us we all got to use it. And I literally just used it today and went, wow, this thing is so cool. You guys all got to be using this. And he's like, yeah, I've been telling you that. So that's been great. But the reviews, people always ask, how do you get more reviews? I said, you have to ask for them. And
Yep.
doing it after the fact from your billing department doesn't work. What happens is when I'm sitting in front of you and I say, Ashley, it'd mean the world to me if you give me a great review. If I didn't earn them 5 stars, let me know and I'll make it happen. You're gonna go write my review because you feel like I gotta take care of this guy. He will give me puppy dog eyes. So and then I immediately send you that link, and that link, if you're in Google and you're already logged in, it goes right to the Google review page and you can write it up.
Yeah,
We've
I
gotten
love
some great
that.
reviews, and then we share them with our team all the time too.
Yeah, that's great. It's nice that they actually get to hear what customers are saying about you guys and your business, instead of just letting those reviews go untouched for a while. I've seen some businesses do that. So I'm glad that you guys are sharing those with your team members. To kind of piggyback off that question, though, I'm curious if there's any features that you guys have just explored throughout your use of Field Pulse that you didn't initially think you would use or didn't initially understand that now you really rely on and help your team work better.
I think
Go
with
ahead,
that one,
Kirk.
it's going to be Company Cam. Um, Being able to take pictures inside of Field Pulse was nice, but with Company Cam, it's just so much more immersive. Being able to annotate and draw the lines, and it's just you can do more with it. Doing the before and after photos right through Company Cam, being able to write the reports and the checklists. In our remodeling department, when the job's all done, we do a walkthrough and we have a punch list for just those little things that need to be done. We're able to take all those pictures in Company Cam, make the annotations, and quickly within a couple of minutes, make a checklist, export it to a PDF and send it over to the punch tech and say, all right, here's your list of things to do, knock it out.
I would piggyback on the one thing that we've done is we really focus on our handymen. That's our biggest part of our company anyway. So when we did that, we focused on them. But then what we really have been doing with our project managers is making them plan this thing out because of the Gantt chart features in project management to really plan it out. And they're starting to learn that to run a project, you really need to have that discipline because we use a lot of subs in our remodeling. We do a lot of bathrooms, decks, and basements. So that's been good. And what Kirk just talked about, and I saw the question come up. I tell you, I mean, I'm a believer now in company cam. Again, I'm the owner, so I'm the one going, I don't want to spend any more money on this. This sucks. And I went, oh, okay, it's worth it. I'm seeing the benefits of it now. So it's just a rich feature. And I've also found since then that there's a lot of companies out there on it, and a lot of guys here I know in Atlanta who use it as well.
No, thank you for speaking to that for our customers that, might have been on the fence about it, but now they're sold after hearing you guys. So thank you for that. To go along with this still, what are some other systems or tools that you guys have set up to help your team run more efficiently? So I've heard you guys mention templates. Is there any examples of templates that you can share with us, or any tags or workflows that you guys use in your system that you can share with the audience here today that hopefully they can replicate in their own FieldPulse account?
I'll go first on the estimating side. The templates have allowed us to standardize pricing. Again, we look at so many different things. When we first started the implementation, we were really focused on price books. We just weren't ready. If you're an HVAC or electrical company, I know a garage door company, you want to index and also manage your inventory and parts. For us, our inventory and parts is sitting in Home Depot, so we can't really inventory that. So we have a couple of line items for purchase materials based on our vendors, but we have a lot of labor items. And we do so many different things. This has allowed us to really standardize the pricing. And what we're going to do is once we get this really nailed down, then we're going to build price books for our technicians in the field so they can just push a button, show the customer, get the acceptance. And it has started to raise our average tickets as well. Kirk, I'll
Kirk,
let
do
you
you
talk
have
about
any
the
other
tags.
examples?
Because tags was a foreign thing to me too when we first got into this. So
And
Tags
it
was
is
a
to a lot
foreign
of our
thing.
customers. Yeah.
Tags was a foreign thing, and it's allowed us to help us track things a whole lot better. To give you one example of it, we implemented the chirp integration. Um, with that, we had to figure out how we were going to track which one of those uh, we were actually getting things from, whether we were getting a win, whether we were getting a loss, whether we were getting any contact back whatsoever. So on our estimates now, coupled with the chirp dashboard, we're able to add the tag of chirp. So quickly at any given moment, we can just pull up the estimates that we have that are tagged with chirp, and we'll know what's been won, what's been lost, who actually talked to us about it. That way we can make sure we're getting a good ROI on it and we're actually getting our money's worth.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great example for our customers. And for any of you that are watching today that don't know what tags are, there you can find them on any other record type within FieldPulse. So customer records, estimates, invoices, and tags are just a good way to further segment and organize your customers, estimates, invoices, whatever you're trying to do. And if there's not a reporting column or filter that you're looking for, you can actually filter by those tags that you use throughout the system. So it's a great thing to start using. If you're not, it truly makes a workflow more efficient. Is there any workflows that you guys are using that you could speak to here? I know we get a lot of questions about workflows, and within FieldPulse 360, we're doing a whole workflow series. So is there anything that you guys are utilizing in terms of that?
We use quite a few different workflows, starting in the estimation process. Because we cover such a large area, we segmented down our coverage area into zones, zones 1 through 8. So we've got 8 different workflows for our estimators that go off of that zone status, and that helps with the scheduling to make sure that the girls aren't scheduling somebody in zone one in the morning, and then 3 in the afternoon, and then 5, and then 7. Quickly with the workflows, they're able to make sure guys are staying in the same area. And then for our technicians, we've got one workflow where we're able to everything from the very, very beginning when the customer accepts the estimate, all the way through scheduling, ordering, collecting deposits, en route to the job, work being done, and collecting the money at the very end. And then same thing, different workflows for our project management team, the different stages and standpoints that they go through throughout the life of the project, helping us track it, know where it is.
That's awesome. Those are great examples. One question that we get a lot is your estimation process embedded in a workflow, or do you have a whole separate workflow just to do an estimate or a quote?
It's embedded in the workflow that we have set up. So it's part of it.
Sweet. Yeah, I always try to tell customers that there's no right or wrong way. It's truly whatever works for your system. But I was just curious to pick your brain while I had you guys on here today, what you guys do. So thanks for sharing that. We do have another audience question. So someone wants to know, do you have any tips or advice for a company that is just starting out with FieldPulse?
Oh boy. Right, I'll let you go first, Kirk. I was going to say one thing before we got started. The comments feature in Field Pulse have been good because I'll be driving along and get a call, and my a technician will say, "Hey, I'm on that job you coded a month ago, and I got a question for you." I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know where you are and what you're talking about." But when they tag me in a comment, then at least I know what I'm doing before I call them back and go, "Okay, I got you, man. I see where you're at." So I like the comments.
That's a
All
great
right.
point. I feel like comments are an underutilized feature. So thanks for shedding light on that.
So that's
Yeah.
that one's now. Let's
Anything,
talk Field
anything with
Pulse.
tips and advice for a company just starting out with Field Pulse. This can be just like attitude, mindset, or just like tips and tricks that you guys wish you heard right from the beginning that could hopefully save these people time.
One thing I would say is that I feel like the mobile aspect of Field Pulse is super strong. The desktop was not as strong, and I've seen it's come a long way even since we've been on it now, not even a year yet, because we started with it in October. Um, what I found was the change management was a big hurdle for us. Again, you got to remember who my guys are and who the guys are in the field. These guys are super artists. They'll put some crown molding up that'll make your eyes just spin. They'll be able to put vanities in, do drywall, lay floor, do tile. They can do a lot of different things. But when it comes to using that iPad, because everybody gets an iPad, it can be pretty frustrating. And we had been using one system for 9 years. Now that system was not near as good as FieldPulse, but it was the system we used, and we had all of our workarounds figured out, and we all knew what to do. And so this was foreign territory. And I'll give you a great example. We tried to implement right off the rip, taking payments in the field, and within 2 days we said, okay, that's not working because guys were quote unquote taking payments in the field and they weren't taking the payments.
Oh,
So
geez.
we realized that we had to train them a little bit more on that. So again, in person, I think one of the best watershed moments for us was John, who's been with us for 14 of my 17 years. He's been with me for that long. He is our best guy. He's very loyal, older guy. He was super frustrated and he didn't want to say anything. And I got up in front and said, "Hey, if you're not," and I'm filtering myself, you got to tell me. And he goes, "I'm not happy." I'm like, "All right, well, let's figure this out together because I'm right with you, man. I don't know how to use this thing either. And I don't want you guys fumbling around in front of a customer. So let's all do it." So everybody pulled out their iPad, and Kirk and Chris went walking around the room because we've got the training room set up, and we made sure everybody just did it step by step. And then what Kirk does now is somebody will share their screen up on the big video that we have in the front, and he'll make them do something in front of everybody else. And I've seen the confidence level go up in these guys immensely in just the last 3 or 4 months.
That's awesome. And truly, your team is only as good as the training that they've had. So that speaks to that for sure. Kirk, is there anything that you would recommend to people just starting out with Field Pulse? Any tips and tricks you have?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is make sure during the implementation stage that you're asking tons of questions and utilizing your onboarding person. We got really lucky. We had T as our onboarding person. Um, when he started with us, he came on and he was like, "All right, we're going to get this done and we're going to have you rocking and rolling in a month." And we're like, "No, no, no, buddy. You got to slow down. We can't do this in a month." And he took his time with us, and we took about 3 months of working with him at one point almost every day to get it Field Pulse fine-tuned exactly how we wanted it, asking him questions, giving him use case scenarios, him coming up with solutions. So it's really asking those questions and not just saying, "Ah, figure it out." Because the people over on the onboarding side, they have a solution. You just got to ask you a question, they can tell you. Because everybody uses it different. I mean, there was stuff that T told us to do and to try out and do it one way, and we played with it and we used 90% of what he said and we figured out the other 10% on our own. So it's really using them to your advantage. And then we also have we work with Taylor on a biweekly basis where we have a 1 hour call each week with or every other week with her. We're the same thing as we encounter new problems, where we encounter new use cases. When we wanted to start working with price books, she jumped on extra calls with me and we started building out price books and building out examples of them. And then also joining the Facebook user group. It's a large community of other FieldPulse users that everybody answers questions about everybody in different ways that they do things. Chris and I both try to stay pretty active in that group. And there's been a lot of great ideas that have come out of that group. So yeah, use your onboarding specialists and the Facebook group. They're going to help a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good call out to the Facebook group. I would say that's a great way to learn from other users. And I know our team's pretty active in there as well, and we'll put in new
Yeah.
releases that come out.
yeah, 100%. I would say if you're listening, just like when your customers deal with you, if you're going to come at us with a bunch of vinegar and I can't say the other word, you're going to get that back, man. So a little honey on this one. What I've seen is that the software system I was on for 9 years, these guys have done more work on this system in the last 4 months than I got 9 years prior on the other one. So I've been really happy with things happen. And yeah, I want some other things prioritized more than other people, and that's what we tell Taylor and T. And by the way, we're huge T and Taylor fans. We're making t-shirts for them. So whoop whoop, those guys did a great job for us.
Add me
Um,
to the list.
uh,
Put me on that list.
yeah, yeah, man. All right, we'll get you the t-shirt. One thing I would tell, I saw a question come across. We use QuickBooks Online. Um, and so that's something I had switched to. We had a one-way sync with our old system. The two-way sync did take us a little bit to get used to it. I've seen that we're going to come out, FieldPulse may come out with a one-way sync again. I was at first tempted to go, let's go do it. What we had a difficult time doing was really mapping our chart of accounts internally to make sure that we had our act together because we were working two different systems. And then we didn't just we cut on October 9 and we switched over, but I still had old jobs to finish up. And then 2 months into it, next thing you know, Kirk's hand typing work that we couldn't get to yet and putting it into FieldPulse so our guys could go do it because we didn't convert it over. So that was one that listen to what those guys are telling you. We used a cord to keep track of how we were doing everything with those guys, and there was a couple of times we got wrapped around the axle on a couple of things, and we said, no, instead of going back to T, let's go back to that. He recorded every presentation. We went back and watched it, and I went, oh, right there, that's what he said. I missed that. So we figured it out. So the Accord thing was good for us as well.
I
I
want to
will say,
continue. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say one good tip if you're going to be doing the QuickBook Online feature allowing for the two-way sync. Make sure that everybody in your company, you turn off the user permission to allow to add items to repository. Because if you
Oh,
leave that on, people in the field, technician, people in the office, anybody can automatically create a line item for you and put it into, it's going to go into no chart of accounts and just show up on your QuickBooks under cost of goods sold. And then you have to go backwards and edit it and find out where it came from. Turning that function off will save you lots of headaches.
Pro tip right there. You guys
Yeah.
are stellar at this. Thank you for that call out. Saves people a lot of headaches, I'm sure. I want to continue to pick your guys' brain about your use of the FieldPulse system. So we had a question come in asking, how did you create your dashboard within FieldPulse to show your most important KPIs that are relevant to your business, and what data are you showing?
go ahead, Kirk.
All right. With the dashboard, I use the custom dashboard a lot. Um, from the very, very beginning of customer contact, when they're contacting into the CSRs, the top part of my dashboard is set up so that I know what our leads are looking like, making sure that all the information is getting entered into the system so I can quickly QA calls, make sure we're putting in names, addresses, phone numbers, lead sources, make sure that it got scheduled or does it need to be followed up on. Underneath that, I have my stuff for my estimators, making sure that whatever status their estimates in, that they're in draft or sent or won, that they're actually working on those estimates. And then underneath that, got my dashboard set up for all my sales. What did I sell last month? What have I sold this month? What have I sold this week? What have we sold today? And then underneath that, have all the breakdown for last month's numbers. And then underneath that, have all our stuff for our accepted estimates and then our dispatching process and the different statuses that they're sitting in. Are they waiting to be reviewed by the QA department? Do we need to collect a deposit? All right, we've got that done. All right, now they've gone over to dispatch. Do they need to be scheduled? Have they been put on hold? All right, what jobs have been confirmed and put on the schedule? Which ones still need to be confirmed? What warranty stuff do we have after that? And then underneath that, I have all my collections, my production. What have my guys done this month, this week, today? What balances have been collected and are outstanding? And that way I can keep track of everything on the dashboard, just running down the line.
These are great examples that people can take and hopefully replicate in their own FieldPulse system. So thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah. And it's nice now that
I don't have as many as Kirk does because he likes to look at a lot more than I do. I can only take so much. I'm still one of those old guys. So I found that it's also been a great competitive tool across our sales team. So they can see the same report and we put that on their dashboard. I think the dashboards and desktop have been powerful. The mobile dashboards, and we put plug in here. I wish we could customize those a little bit more so I could get more competition going around my handyman. We don't look at it as much on the daily as we do at least revenue because of the way we do our jobs. There could be 2 and 3 day jobs, sometimes a 2 week job. So our revenue may be a little chunkier than some others, but on the sales side, it's been a monthly. It's been really good to watch these guys compete and try to win, and it builds that camaraderie and it promotes that competitive culture, which is not a bad thing.
Oh, yeah, everybody loves a little friendly competition. All right, I'm interested to hear your response to this question, guys. So, someone asked, how can I effectively communicate to my team that I make hiring and firing decisions based on attitude?
How to manage people. I think, obviously you've got to give them, and Kirk has said this a lot, I'm going to teach you how to do it, and then you just got to decide whether you want to do it. And so if you don't know how to do it, I'll teach you how to do it. But if you don't want to do it, that's an attitude issue. I say it a little bit differently, and that's just, I gotta clean a lot of my words up. I'll start with this. You got objectives, you got goals, and you got results. And if the results and objectives aren't being hit, but I see the attitudes off, the woe is me, the Eeyore out there. We use the DISC profile to analyze everybody. Helps us with communication. Doesn't help us with performance necessarily, but it does help us with communication with the people about how they're going to best respond to the way it's going. But I would definitely set the tone that nobody is expendable, and I've said this. Everybody in my company could be, I mean, especially 1,000% this guy who's sitting on the phone with you right now. That's me. I mean, if I don't have the right attitude, then yeah, I got to fix myself too.
I agree. It goes from the top down. You guys got to have the right attitude and it'll showcase to your employees. So, Kirk, anything you want to share on that?
No, I think Chris nailed it. When it comes to people making mistakes, like there's two types of people. It's either I don't know or I don't care. Chris said it a nicer way, but if you don't know, I'm going to 100% show you so that way you do know how you can do it and you can do your job better and be more effective at it. And then it's up to you at that point to decide whether or not you're going to do it.
Yeah, if you're going to follow through or not. 100%. We're going to get ready to start wrapping up here. We've got some final thought kind of questions for you guys. So curious to hear what your responses are to these, but what's your biggest piece of advice for building a resilient, high performing business? If you could just end with one more thought there, what would that be?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to plug one thing. I wrote a book called From the Zoo to the Wild, and that was my journey of starting this business, leaving the corporate world and jumping into this wild world of running your own business. Um, if you don't have a functional org chart, you may only be a team of five. But if you don't have a functional org chart and can tell me what everybody does in each of those charts, and my org chart in the beginning was I was the president, I was the marketing, I was the CSR, I was the estimator, I was the technician, I was the helper, I was the bookkeeper, I was the accounts receivable. You catch where I'm going with this.
You're
And if you
wearing too
don't
many hats.
Yeah. And so eventually you start giving up those hats. But if you can't tell me what that person's doing in that role, it's not a way you can achieve that. And so I actually, to implement FieldPulse, I took some of those big building blocks that you can put together that kids use in the toy centers, and everybody laughed at me because I did it. But I think it's a great visual to show how all those building blocks work on each other, from the CSR to the estimator to the scheduler to the technician, and then finally to accounts receivable and invoicing and billing. So those building blocks are built on roles and responsibilities, and that's where you can say that because in any system you have inputs and outputs. You need to make sure you got as many standardized inputs as possible so you can get a standardized output. And that's a way to build a scalable business.
Are there any industry business resources that you guys routinely lean on, like podcasts, books, or maybe something else that you could share with the audience today? And maybe they can start keeping tabs on those and learning from those resources?
Well, of course, I'll plug my podcast, The Small Business Safari. I think that one's amazing. We've been doing it for 4
I
years. I,
agree.
I have a co-host as well. I would tell you one of the things, the way I consume podcasts is I go looking for topics and people. I don't necessarily drain one podcast all the way through. I'll just pick and choose as I go, especially on needs. And this crazy thing that's coming on right now called AI, and it's getting overused and buzzed a little bit. But Kirk and I have been really leaning into Chat GPT and trying to learn on how other people have used AI in the business. Because my big thing is anytime I talk to anybody in business and they say, "Oh man, I'm using AI," I'm like, "All right, give me one example of how you used it and how I could use it." And by the way, I'm really dumb, so let me hear it. So I think, that's one where right now that's kind of the topic for us is trying to figure out how to use AI to reduce our tech stack to get, we have CallRail that feeds FieldPulse. We just talked about Company Cam and we talked about QuickBooks. We want to figure out how AI can actually talk to all of these guys and start to maybe even answer our phones at night. I know that sounds super crazy, but we're talking
Operator
about doing that.
AI.
Yeah, and so we're using Chirp. I forgot about that one too. So Kirk is working on that. And then even in the last 2 months, we've seen where AI has helped us, but also how it has taken out maybe an integration we don't have to do.
Yeah, AI is definitely a hot topic right now. But I'm glad you mentioned that about the calls. We have operator AI within Field Pulse, so something to look at as you guys continue to scale. But this kind of leads into our next question of what's next for you guys at the Trusted Toolbox? I know, Chris, not to give a spoiler alert here, but potentially book number two. I'm going to be the first one to buy a copy and hopefully get it signed. But what are the big goals or new directions that you guys have on the horizon?
Yeah, so the big thing is Kirk's our GM here in Atlanta, but he's also been instrumental in helping us grow in Athens. So we've been talking about Atlanta a lot. In Athens, just to give you guys an idea, I've only got one general manager and three technicians up there right now as we're growing that area. We think there's a couple other areas here that are a drivable distance away that we could probably start the same kind of concept and have satellite offices. So Kirk and I have been looking to do that as well. And so I'm going to have him help me with that. Of course, immediately right now, what's going on is I've lost another sales guy, health reasons. So we got to go hire another one. So I'm back working in the business with the sales guys quite a bit right now. But I love working on the business. And yes, I am starting to put together those thoughts and what it would look like just to help people. I don't, that from the Zoo to the Wild was never going to be a Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, but I think it's a great addition to your bookshelf. It's a pretty easy read. I've gotten a lot of great feedback on it, but I am thinking about writing another one,
Woohoo, I'll be there to get that first copy.
yeah.
Kirk, what about you? What's on the horizon for you?
So I think my biggest goal that I want to accomplish this year is to finish building the AI that we had started, that we affectionately named Toolbox Tina.
I love that.
So been learning how to write Python code and integrate and have Tina be able to talk with CallRail, which she can do on a limited basis right now, and then start talking with FieldPulse, which I've been working with T and the development team over there to work on that open API to make that communication more seamless. Um, but hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be able to integrate Toolbox Tina into the online booking portal and the price books, and customers will be able to ask it questions, and it will be able to pull from the price book and say, oh yeah, this simplistic task is going to cost roughly this amount of money, this much materials. Or if it's something that does require that we come out and look at with an estimator and set eyes on, that she'll be able to look at the schedule and say, so and so can be there on Tuesday between 10 and 11, and then actually schedule the appointment. With the open API that FieldPulse offers, that is something that we can do. And if we wanted to pay $30,000 to pay a web developer to write Python code to make it happen, yes, we could do it overnight, but we're working on it ourselves. So that's my goal, to have that done by the end of the year.
That's a hefty goal, but I am, sure that you will be able to accomplish that. And we're definitely going to have to follow up on this by the end of the year and see if Toolbox Tina has come to life. I'm super excited for you guys and what that will entail. That's awesome.
He
All
is pretty
right.
impressive, I'm going to admit it. He showed me some of the outputs. I'm like, holy crap. Yeah, that's great.
I'm excited for you guys. Everybody wants to know, where can we find the Trusted Toolbox? How can we keep in touch with you guys even after the session ends today?
Yeah, obviously the Trusted Toolbox, you can always Google us. We put our number up here on the screen here, 770-623-3097. I tell you, if you would like some of our time, you can email me, Chris at thetrustedtoolbox.com. As I always say in my podcast, I'm always willing to give somebody 30 minutes. And if it looks like, I would tell you, I've also had 5 different companies come to our office just to see what we've got going on in Norcross, Georgia. And we are happy to host people. But yeah, just come through me on that, and then we'll figure out. I just don't want to overload Kirk as he's running the business with too many requests, but I'm definitely willing to help however we can, because we want to see this whole community grow, because we know that the more we grow together, the better we're going to all be. And that's the reason we chose FieldPulse over 4 other very serious candidates.
That's awesome. Thanks for extending a helping hand to all the viewers on here today. Do you guys have any social media accounts that people can follow or add, whatever that looks like?
Yeah, so we've got the Trusted Toolbox on Insta, on Facebook. I've got my Chris Lalomia pages on Instagram and on Facebook. You can find me at Christopher Lalomia. I've got a Chris Lalomia page on Facebook, but I'm going to get ready to turn that over into the Small Business Safari. And you can always see
Awesome.
that. And then we've got a YouTube channel for the Trusted Toolbox out there as well, where we have our newsletters, which is a big marketing thing for us. We send out an email newsletter every month, and that has been a consistent big win for us to grow our community and grow our network.
That's awesome. Any thoughts on being on TikTok down the road, or is
So
that something
play,
you're staying clear of?
so I played with it for a while and realized that not yet. I got it. I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna keep pushing on the YouTube, Insta, and Facebook. I'm definitely seeing, not to get too much into marketing, but I'm definitely seeing some more transactional ability with Facebook. And that's where Kirk is building out Toolbox Tina. And then if she can talk with somebody on Facebook, then we're going to start advertising on there, because one thing I've learned, because we do a lot of marketing here in Atlanta, is that Facebook is a community feel now, and the way it's growing, it's not just for old people. I'm seeing younger people do community stuff on it, even down to the college level. But we've got to be able to answer quickly, because again, man, if they said the average attention span of a goldfish is 7 seconds, I think I'm down to like 2.5 myself. So I'm the oldest millennial. I'm the oldest millennial you'll ever see. I'm on every one of those things, surfing around all the time.
I'm right there with you. I also just feel like with our customers, if they don't get a response within 2 minutes or less, they're more than likely going to go give their business somewhere else who's going to respond to them quicker. So that's a great call out there. And if Toolbox Tina can handle that on Facebook, that's going to be a huge win for you guys. So I'm super excited for what that's going to look like. All right. Well, any other final thoughts from you guys, or are we good to wrap it up here?
I'm good to wrap it up. Yeah, of course we could talk all day about business, but I've got to actually go write a couple estimates myself and make some money.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being on today. Truly, your advice is hopefully resonating with all the viewers on here today and all of those that are going to watch after the fact. The recording of this will be posted in our help center as always, and you can also find this on YouTube. And there will be a survey that will appear after today's session. If you guys can fill that out and give myself feedback as we continue to do these sessions, or any feedback that you might have for Chris and Kirk, I will pass that along to them. But thank you guys so much again for being on today, and for the viewers to be here with us and ask these questions. It's been a great session. Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Ashley.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day, everybody.